Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Columbus. I'm Nick Miller alongside Select Slide Star City Games author Anthony Lowry. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Nick?
Good to see you here in the Midwest, making your grind on the track up to the Players Championship. You're 28th.
Yep.
You've been just playing the hell out of the IQ circuit. 3 last weekend, or 3 last week.
Yeah.
Finals appearance, top 4, top 8.
Yeah, finals in the Premier IQ, top 4 in the regular IQ on Tuesday, and top 8 in the Super IQ on Sunday.
All with this Temur aggro deck.
Yep.
That you are now 3-0 with here in the Standard Open.
Yep.
You've been writing about this deck. What is so good about this deck, and how is it, in your words, the best deck in the format?
Yeah, it's like not close. It's the best deck in the format. Like, I don't know what people are doing, but so for a Monsters deck, it's super flexible. And that's a big change from what we've had in Monsters decks of the past. It was usually like really clunky and like you have to like work your way around trying to get these threats on the board. You couldn't really do much, but with this deck you can play offense just as well. You can play defense very well because all of your guys are huge. Cards like Ash Cloud Phoenix are not only great attackers but great blockers. And the big thing is that you can play an awesome tempo game as well. You're not a good Delver deck, but that's still good enough to just completely crush people because it's the only deck that can really do that besides Jeskai that's like dedicated to do that, but your guys are bigger, so you can just outpower them whenever you have any sort of counterspell.
Right, the tempo strategy that you brought up was very apparent last round on camera against the almost mono black aggro where you're able to use cards that are 1 mana to counter their 4 3-mana cards.
Right.
While you've already applied pressure and you can play more spells.
Exactly.
So Stubborn Denial is just a super sleeper in this format.
Yeah.
A lot of decks are starting to utilize it. The Temur deck, the Blue-White Heroic deck are using it.
Yep.
So
yeah,
tons of blowout potential with that guy.
Yeah, like even if you don't have Ferocious, you can still just disrupt their curve and you're just way ahead usually. Like in the last match I played on camera, I just force spiked the Whip of Erebos and it was just like over from there. And if you have Ferocious, your guys are just protected from pretty much any removal spell. And like it's basically a time walk if you have Ferocious.
Right. Once you have Ferocious, just hard counter to stuff like hostilities and all the things you're worried about.
Hero's Downfall, Elspeth, Sarkhan, all of that.
So the creature base here, we've got Savage Knuckleblade, Pelucranos, Ash Cloud Phoenix, Heir of the Wild, and you got, of course, Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah, like
little Boon Satyr, and I like this one of Surok.
Yep.
So we got the clan leader in here.
Yeah.
What's pulling you to this guy and having one more in the sideboard?
So, with the uptick of Disdainful Stroke and counterspells in general from the blue-based control decks, you can flash in a Surok just to make sure you have another threat when they're trying to land a sorcery speed removal spell like I don't know, and hostilities, as you said before, things like that. And it's just a 6/6 for 5. Like, that's huge. Like, there's so many decks that just can't beat that. Like, Jeskai has such a hard time trying to beat the 6/6 if they're not already pushing ahead. And also being able to get through smaller guys like Elspeth tokens and stuff like that with your other creatures is a big deal too. This deck has a really big problem with pushing through the last points of damage, and a lot of times when you're on a Savage Knuckleblade plan, you're not going to really minus an Elspeth because it's not great for them. So having a Surok to be able to push that damage through when they make tokens is another way to continue putting that pressure forth.
Yeah, it's very much like Advent of the Worm from the last season where 4 mana for 5/5, you're paying 5 mana for 6/6 after they've done their board wipe or whatever they're going to do. But giving your other guys trample too
is a big deal. Like a lot of other decks have Sarkhan in that spot, and I just don't think Sarkhan is good in this deck at all. It's just more of what you already have in Stormbreath Dragon and Ash Cloud Phoenix, and you just need more ways to just push damage through. You already have Temur Charm and Kratos Claws, and having one more way of doing that while also being a big threat on its own, offensively and defensively, is just perfect for this deck.
Yeah, Temur Charm just doing all kinds of work in this deck, whether it's Mana Leak, whether it's Falter so you can get your guys through for the last points of damage, and even just the fight mechanic, you know, very good.
Exactly.
All the modes are relevant.
Yeah.
Now you've got Kratos Claw here, another card that utilizes the Ferocious mechanic.
Yep.
Fireballing people out, or are you using it as a removal spell?
Both. A lot of times I use it as a removal spell for on the play against their dork, or playing a 4-power creature, then killing a Rabble Master is a good one. There are, like, I try to hang on to it if I know I'm against like a Hornet Queen deck or any deck that's really good at stopping me on the ground.
Right.
But like it's either shock mode or bonfire mode essentially. Like
those are good modes to have.
Yeah.
Of course, you've got your mana ramp, you've got Elvish Mystic, Rattleclaw Mystics to get you to your big guys.
Yeah.
And then, you know, rounding out the creature package, Heir of the Wild, a great 2-drop in this format where everyone's playing Caryatid and Coursers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Note that there are no Sylvan Caryatids because there are no Sylvan Caryatids in this deck because you still want to be attacking with them. Very often you'll play against really slow decks and you can still tempo them out with like just your mana dorks if you have enough counter magic. So being able to attack is a big deal. And Heir of the Wilds, as you said, is just like nobody blocks the card. Like who's really going to block it with their Courser unless they really don't need to. Like this is another way of getting through damage when you need it.
Let's take a look at the sideboard here. We've got a couple of lightning strikes, just where you need removal, I guess like Rabble Masters and stuff like that.
Primarily Mantis Rider, and yes, Rabble Master is another big one, and the aggro decks as well. So the mono red deck.
Okay. 2 Hornet Nest. Where are those coming in? I like that card.
Monsters Mirrors, Green Devotion, aggro matchups. You'll basically any non-Jeskai matchup where you're bringing in Lightning Strike, you're bringing in Hornet Nest as well. Okay. For the most part, and very often you'll Creator's Clause your own Hornet Nest if you need to.
Yeah, I've seen that play happen a lot where you actually have to kill your own Hornet Nest, but it's worth it because you get the board stalled out.
Yep.
You mentioned Disdainful Stroke when facing off against it, which makes Cert good, but you have a couple copies of your own, just Siege Rhino and all the other things running around.
Yep. It's good against red-green monsters. I only bringing one against the Temur monsters deck because they have Savage Knuckleblade, which gets under it. But against Abzan, a lot of most control decks, and the red-green monsters deck, you want Disdainful Stroke.
3-piece Anger the Gods.
Yep. You are going to hit a lot of your guys, but the mono red deck is that bad of a matchup.
Okay.
Like, you're just so dead to that deck, so you just need to like stop their guys like at any cost.
Do you leave all your mana guys in when you're bringing those in, or is it something you just have to deal with?
Sometimes I do. If they're on Rabble Master main, then yes, I do.
Okay.
If they're not, if they're on Whirling Outburst, then I don't need to because Whirling Outburst doesn't put as much pressure early, so I can afford to wait a half a turn. But generally, I definitely leave in Rattleclaw Mystic. Elvish Mystic, no.
All right. Now you've got a Destructive Revelry here. That just nails so many things in this format.
Yeah.
You know, as well as some extra damage.
Yeah.
No question why that's in there.
Yeah. Perilous Vault, Whip of Erebos.
Jeskai, Sin and Sea.
Jeskai. Oh, geez, that card.
I like your one of Clever Impersonator here. I walked by a feature match of yours earlier on. You get to clone your own Stormblood Dragon.
Yep.
Bam.
And like hit him for 1 million. Yeah. I like Clever Impersonator when you're being proactive. I think a lot of decks, like control decks, play Clever Impersonator, and I don't think it's best there. I think it's best when you need more of what you have, but also have the option of taking something that could be useful to you.
Okay.
So like an opposing Whip of Erebos, a Banishing Light if you need to get a guy out the way, things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the coolest thing you've impersonated?
An Ash Cloud Phoenix.
Okay.
And it died, so it came back face down.
That's what we call value.
Yeah.
We've got a Hornet Queen and a Hunt 100 for some more removal.
Yeah, Hornet Queen is for the Abzan, Green Devotion, any green base mid-range deck, and Hunt the Hunter is for Green Devotion, Abzan.
Okay.
Fleece main line, Abzan.
So if you had your choice, what would you get to play all day against with this?
Probably Abzan, and yeah, just Abzan. That's all I want to play against. Like, there's a lot of play to the matchup, but I feel like I have enough of an edge where I can just like leverage what this deck is good at and just maximize that. So,
all right. Well, you're 3-0 so far.
Yep.
You've put your money where your mouth is. You write about this deck all the time.
Yeah.
Write about it in the newsletter.
Yep.
You know, your work with it has definitely proven to pay off. So, good luck the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you get one of them spots in the Players' Championship, or even just lock up some buys.
That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah.
All right. Anthony, thanks for sitting down with me. Stay tuned all weekend long here in Columbus for the action at the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Columbus.